you could come. Everyone here is looking to do practicum or internship in the fall, right? Excellent. So either one, and we have master's and doctoral students, right? Good. So what we're going to do is, make sure you sign in so you get credit for being here and get the handout. I'm going to go over some slides, talk about the experience for both practicum and internship, also for master's and doctoral students, and then we'll finish. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them, and then we'll be done. You've already, make sure you sign in, and once you sign in, we will follow up and email you some other documentation, including like the manual, and some of these items that are here. So what I'm passing on here are some things for you to look at. This is a PDF of the counseling agreement, counseling application, that will now be completely online. You'll also see that the evaluation of your site and of you will also be all online. That's a big change. Anyone in practical internship right now? So you'll see a big difference now in how we move forward. It's almost all entirely online, hardly any papers at all. It's easier to track and kind of prevents any kind of miscommunication, things like that. These are just for you to look at, not to have. I'll also pass out this. This is the new activity log, is what we're calling it. I think currently those who are in it may notice term record of hours. So this is effective for the spring. Those of you who are in it right now, this is the log that you'll be using to maintain your hours. So we're really trying to hear what many of you have said about streamlining, making things easier, less paperwork, predictable timelines. And so this is our response back to make it all online, hopefully more efficient for you moving forward. All right, good? All right. Okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look at who you should contact regarding your field experience. What is the field experience? Some important timeline. What the training plan looks like. The plan includes an application and agreement. We'll talk about that. We'll touch on hours, how many hours you need, how hours are broken out, how you maintain your hours. That's the law that's going around. How you'll be evaluated and how you should evaluate your site. Because we don't want you going to sites that are not good. I want to know how sites are for you. Okay? And then we want to look at communication, how to prepare for an interview for your practicum and internship site. A lot of students that are working at their sites. So when you're interviewing for practicum and internship sites, you want to think about who's going to be your next employer, perhaps. So things to think of mind for that. You only need to come to this type of orientation one time. Only mandated you come one time. But I see some repeat folks. You should probably come again. There's always some changes. Like for example, there's some changes for those who are going to be here for the fall that are different than right now in the spring. We're looking at implementing some trainings. We're hearing from you all some needs you may have. Let's talk about some trainings that we want to offer, and you can take your pick. Next steps and some good links. So after tonight, we will also mail you this PowerPoint presentation. Sound okay? Yes. All right, here we go. Thank you, Dimitri. All right, so for your entire field experience, your whole training, your first person you should maintain communication with once you start your site is? Not me, not Sharia, not your advisor, not the program chair. It should be your site supervisor. This is your effective line of communication. With military folks that I can see here, good line of communication, because that's the first person you should talk to about anything, any problems, concerns, questions. After that, if you can't get your answer, the next person is your instructor for your practicum internship class. Still, not me, not the chair, not Sharia. That's who you should be going to first if you have any problems. So you can see the next people is Sharia, who's right here, filming. Hi, Sharia. And Chris is not here. I don't know why. He stood us up tonight. I'm not sure. And then me. I should be the very last resort of what you need for your field experience. Okay? So when you get to me, you better have tried everything else to get your answer solved before you get to me, okay? I encourage you. This person should be your number one person. So when you're interviewing, interview them too. Make sure you want them to be your supervisor. All right? Nice to see you again. Okay. And that's my email. What is it? Some of you probably already know, maybe not. This is your opportunity to put all of your wonderful knowledge of RDC into practice. It's your opportunity to apply all the skills you've learned, diagnoses, assessment, counseling skills, theories, working with couples, families, all those kind of fun things. This is your time to put it all together. So once you find your site, you got to stay there the whole time. the whole 15 weeks. Practicum internship are based on full term, 15 weeks. Maybe you get all your hours early, you got to stay the whole 15 weeks, the whole time. So commit to your time, and commit to your schedule too. Commit that you'll stick to whatever schedule you guys decide on. Monday, Tuesdays, all day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 to 8, whatever it is. I often see, I want to change, or they're making me do this. Ask these questions ahead of time when you select your site. What do you think about this schedule? Make sure you understand what their expectations are. Make sure you're eligible. Wouldn't you hate to do all that work and you find out you haven't taken all your prereqs? Or you didn't have a right kind of grade? Make sure you do all your homework so you know what's, there's no problems down the road. How about this last one? Who's working? Who has a family? Kids, dogs, cats, fish? And who's still taking other classes? How are you going to manage all that and do 10 to 20 hours at a practicum internship site? Anybody have any ideas how they're going to manage it? Have you thought about it? Come on.
So, I scheduled pretty much all the time that I'm going to do at my site, the time that I'm going to spend with people, and the time that I'm going to be at work, and I worked to find a site that would actually work with me concerning hours. I actually had to turn down one site because while they were willing to work with me, there's a conflict in schedules at one section, and so just
Love
picking
that.
a site and just organizing all my time.
Absolutely. I like that.
Mostly, I guess, your employer as well. Make sure that you promise him or her of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So-
So possibly see there's some times you can take off, maybe every other Friday, maybe there's some adjustments you can make, take some leave. Why is this here? Is this like,
I don't know.
am I supposed to sit right here? This is a bad chair?
It's for you.
That's me? I don't tend to sit. Any other thoughts? How are you going to manage? How are you going to have life-work balance?
Priorities.
Huh?
We have to look at the priorities.
Yeah, what's the priority here? Some people take breaks. It might be the right time. Have you thought about this? You know, who's took ethics already? Oh, what's the #1 ethical violation in our field? Yes, who said it? Be strong. Oh. Two relationships, cross boundaries. We are sleeping with our clients. What is wrong with us? This still occurs. And people who have the high incidence of code of ethics violations in relationships is because they get burnt out. They get burnt out, things become blurry, they lose their sense of boundaries, start crossing lines. I don't want to read about RDC graduate, sleep with client. No. I'm telling you in this meeting, you need to really think about this last bullet right here. How are you going to manage your internship, practicum, with your life and work? I don't want you to get burnt out. You need to have your priorities,
I heard a few
perspective.
people asking if Brad Pitt doesn't count.
He doesn't count?
Does Brad Pitt count?
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
What's it, Angelina or
Yeah, Jolie.
Angelina,
what's
his
the
wife.
nickname though?
What?
Bradolina.
Bradolina.
I say this because I get every semester here, I am exhausted. I have to drop the course. I need to get a new internship site. I have to withdraw from the university. So some things you can think about to maintain this is to organize your time, use your resources, who can help you, if you have responsibilities, can your job help you? Do you exercise, what you're eating like, you take care of yourself? Who might you offer that advice to or suggestions to yourself? Your clients, this is parallel process. You're telling your clients to find a balance. Let's make this work. Are you practicing yourself? Don't come to me saying you're burnt out. I'm helping you now. All right. We're not going to register you. So once we clear your application for practicum internship, you need to make sure that you get yourself registered. There's a class that you take. You meet. For master's students, you'll meet every week, mostly online, for about an hour and a half. For doctoral students, who's a doctoral student here? You'll meet usually about 5 times a semester for about 3 hours. A little bit different. You cannot miss one of those classes. One. They will drop you from practical internship. Okay, most of the classes are some kind of blended. So for example, most practical internship classes You come to campus for the first class, and you come to campus for the last class. And the rest is online. That's how most of them look like. But some may be different. Make sure you look and see what are the requirements. Because if you think the first class is online and it's really on campus, vice versa, and you miss it, what did I just have to do? You missed one class. You're going to be mad. You're going to come to my office, and I'm like, what? I told you on January 24th. Okay, what I recommend for you, after today, we're going to email you a site list that has sites for practicum, internship, master's, and doctoral program. You want to try, ideally, to find a site that has a variety of clients. Why would you want a site that has a variety of clients?
To get a roundabout idea what you
Makes
want
you
to do.
marketable. So when you're out there applying for jobs, you have experience working with a variety of clients. Unless you already know who your niche group is going to be. Does anybody know who they definitely want to work with? Then you need to find sites that will help you keep right in there with them, for sure. Individual versus group. You know, which one of those interests you? I would shop around. Don't default because they asked you. You pick your site. Make sure the site can get you all of your hours. So, for those who are doing the master's program for practicum, how many hours do you need? Have you looked this up yet? Do we know? 100. So 100 divided by 15 weeks is how many hours? Yes, I know math on a Friday night. It's about 7 or 8 hours a week. Make sure that site can give you 7 or 8 hours of practicum hours a week. Internship for master's students, how many hours do you need?
300.
Per semester. So if you do 300 per semester, 15, what's the math on that? About 20 hours. 20 hours a week for 15 weeks. Give or take is about 300. Who's working full time? Who's going to do that? So there's the work life again. Make sure that you have the site confirmed that they can give you those hours. The supervisor must be licensed and a current license. I had one social worker say, well, it expired 2 years ago. Is that okay? No. I want my students under fresh licenses. Make sure you get a copy of it. Blame me, Dr. Riccio. She wants to see the license. Whatever. Make sure they are currently licensed. And to help you down the road when you apply for licensure, anybody think about licensure down the road? Particularly for Virginia. Most states don't count pre-master supervision hours. Virginia does if you're from a K-Prep program, Argosy, and the supervisor has a certain kind of credentials. So you put yourself in the right position if you're careful in selecting the right supervisor, which I can help you if you want to determine that. This is a change for the fall. Those of you who may be in something here in the spring or had heard things down the road, this is new. Let me go back for doctoral students. For the doctoral students, for practicum, how many hours?
150.
150. Do the math. And then internship? 600 over, which is over 1 semester. We're looking to make that over 2 semesters. So it'll be kind of easier to give you some breath. Because 600 hours in 1 semester, that's a full-time job. That's 40 hours. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it either, right? Okay, another thing that's happening. In your practicum, starting in the fall, you will be required to turn in 2 recordings of your work with clients. So right now, the requirement is 0. But come fall, those who start practicum, part of your course requirements for your grades and your class is you're going to have to record 2 sessions with your clients. Why do we want that? Why would you want that?
To see how you're doing.
Absolutely. So your supervisor might have some ideas on site, but we know nothing. We want to help you, give you some feedback. Not to check on you, but to give you some supervision on it. And this is for the doctoral program as well. For the internship, for masters, you will do 3 recordings each semester for a total of 6. So you need to think about how do you ask someone, can you record this? You got to find some language because that's an area to broach. Some people's like, no way you're not recording me. So you got to think of how are you going to use language, get permission, consent to record. And that's also if you're working with children and adolescents, got to get the parent consent. So when you're interviewing at sites, ask them, do we still have permission to get recordings? Don't get at the site that says no. You have to change site, you're going to delay your whole field experience. All right?
And it's usually a good idea, if I may, to try to ask that immediately, like your informed
Yeah.
consent. Don't get in the middle of the interview or the end, oh, you know we're recording this, right? Or, you know, is it okay to record you after you've already sit and gotten through most of the conversation? Believe it or not, it's happened. And so you might want to initially, when you sit down, we're going to record you if we have your permission. Here are the forms to fill out. It's called informed consent. I know some of you have already had that and what you want to do. Make sure you get everything signed out immediately before you proceed.
With your clients,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. For doctoral students in internship, they will be required to do 1 recording per 100 hours. Doctoral students have some flexibility in how they do their hours, so that's also different for the fall. So make sure you ask your sites these things so far. They can still meet these requirements. You will be evaluated by your site supervisor for the entire practicum and for each internship semester for masters and for doctoral students the same. And as I mentioned earlier, I will want you to evaluate the site as well. But all the evaluations are online, so make sure we're sharing things that I pass out here to the front. There's just one copy of all. And so what happens is the PowerPoint here will be emailed to you, and you will see the link on the last page. That's the link you will complete to evaluate your site. I want to know if they're good or bad. Okay? For your supervisor, when you fill out your application online, whatever email you put there for your supervisor, that's who will contact to confirm your placement. That's the same address who would email the evaluation link. So if you give us the wrong email, you'll be able to approve your application, and down the road, you won't be able to get your evaluation. And then you'll have not a fun grade for your field experience, okay? It's online though. No more papers, no more I faxed it, oh, I left it under your door. All online. Isn't that better? Yes. Who doesn't like technology? Some sites may require background checks. They may want to know anything in your past could make you a risk intern at their site. They may ask you to pay for it too. I would ask them in the beginning, will anything like this be required, or will any expenses be on you? And it would be your responsibility to pay it or decide not to go to that site. So I had a student maybe a week ago say that she's required to pay for her own, but she doesn't have the money. She's not going to get the site, and it's too late to start. So I'm trying to help you on the front and things to consider. And it can't be your job. Your field experience cannot be your job. Why could it not be your job?
Conflict of interest.
It's definitely conflict of interest. You cannot tell me that your supervisor, your boss, can really give you the best clinical supervision on developing your clinical skills. It's almost impossible. So what you could do, if you're in a large organization, if you're working here and you have your boss as your employer, that's great. Over here, you could have a different set of clients and a different supervisor. That could work. But there can be no mixing clients. We want you to just have straight separation. So definitely your job cannot be your practicum or internship site. Okay so far? All right. So excited? Jump in the program? Waiting for happy hour. Just a Huh? This is a snapshot of the handout that was there when you signed in about some key dates. So this is when all the field experiences start. So fall, spring, summer. So if you're planning on starting in September, this is the deadlines you want to follow. You're meeting the first requirement here. You will get information to show that your application will be due online here. We're going to follow up with you in 30 days from there saying yay or nay, the application is good, everything is there. And then you'll have one more month to get the next part of your training plan, which is an agreement. That has some, and it's going around. What are the goals, what are your objectives, what's your schedule going to be, those kinds of things. And then you start. Now keep in mind, if you're going to continue to do an internship into the spring, you don't have to attend this orientation, but you're going to have another deadline while you're already in your first field experience. Don't miss your deadlines. It's very systematic, okay? You understand what I'm saying about once you're already in it, and there'll be a next deadline for the following semester. Okay? So the handout you have some very specific dates trying to help you. So there's no cloudiness, there's no miscommunication. This is it right here. The only variation that may occur is perhaps if Argosy changes the first day of class or something. I mean, that's about it. Sometimes they do that. These are the general timelines for you. Excitement? Feel good? Keep you organized? You can think ahead, right? Yeah.
I have a question. The application part, like for instance, what's due February 1st, they're asking specifically on that Survey Monkey survey or Survey Monkey, they ask month, day, and year. But what of completion? What if you don't know off the top of your head? And I can't find if there's
So
somewhere.
you were here in November?
Pardon?
You
No,
were here.
December.
No, so were you here for the November orientation?
Well, I did the orientation
You did.
afterwards because I couldn't be present.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you would just put a date, the 1st or 31st.
Just
So
the,
you're doing something in the summer. You're doing,
Yes.
right, yeah.
so just do
The
the,
1st or 31st.
okay, and just use the semester
Yeah.
dates,
Yeah.
okay.
You'll see when you do the application, it's gonna ask you, when did you take all the prerequisite classes?
Mhm.
And so unless you really know it was the 18th of the month,
Exactly.
just put the 1st or 31st.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen a date somewhere, and maybe it was in the online materials about a February 14th deadline.
This is it right here.
So all the paperwork or online is not due until June 1st,
For fall,
to start this fall?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think I keep getting it mixed up. So, because I did the online training, so I'm trying to do February 1st. Are you saying by
For
February?
summer.
For the summer.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying by February 1st I have to have my site and
You
have
need to have the
gone-
whole online application completed.
Okay.
So you can go check it out, you can see what it's asking you, but it's gonna ask you for site information, your supervisor's name, phone number, all the contact information.
So all the interviews have to be out of the way?
Yes, needs to be done. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah,
What if you're doing internship at the practical site? Do you still have to
yes, do another application. Yeah, we have them separated, because practicum's a bit different. Practicum's nice and slow and easy, acclimated. Internship's a little bit more hardcore, you're kind of in there. Yeah. Okay, so let's see after the dates, what else we got here? More dates. I got you to 2015, come on. Don't say, I didn't know. I've got your name now. I know you were here. I know I told you. Okay, so what the process now is called, is you have an e-training plan. Your training plan is made up of an application and an agreement. So there's two pieces, they have two timelines. They're both completely online. This is due first, this is more detailed, and that's due second, based on the timeline we just went over. When you go in there, you will, you can go back and change any data you have as long as you work it off the same computer. So what I recommend is we will email you PDFs of the application so you can see what you need to have in there. I have all your information ready to put in there. Unless you know that you always work at the same computer. That's just what the database is set up. If you try to go enter your application with another computer, it won't recognize the IP address, you gotta do a whole new application. Okay? But if you work on the same computer, you can go back in and edit it up until the deadline, no problem. So like if you know you always work on your home computer, you could go in, now, right after today, tonight! And you just put in your name and your classes if you wanted to, because that's what we do on Friday nights, right? Okay. All right. You can add up to the due date, and you do it once for practicum and once for the internship. And you can see a little caveat here. If you're staying at the same internship site, which is what we want you to do, you don't have to do a new application, just a new agreement. We also have a new training manual. We'll email you that after tonight as well, which is a lot more thorough, much more detailed, and should answer a lot of your questions, for sure. What do you think, Sharif? Yes, you're so good. Okay. Yes, there's our menu. Okay? Too much? Trying? Excited? All right. Here are the hours. So for master students, your hours are pretty much in 3 categories. Some direct, good old counseling, face-to-face, individuals, couples, families, children, adolescents. Then you're going to have some indirect hours, things that are more supportive. Filing, taking notes, treatment planning, processing different things, maybe even answering some phones, filing perhaps. And the other one, set of hours is supervision. Individual supervision, group supervision with your class, maybe some peer supervision, any supervision, that's the other third category. And so in the manual, it'll tell you exactly how many you need. So for practicum masters, we all said it's 100 hours, right? Of the 100 hours, 40 must be direct. And that's all in the manual, all the manual. So that's about 3 clients a week. Can you do 3 people a week? Well, practicum's nice and light. For doctoral students, it's 150, of which 60 have to be direct. We've changed them for doctoral students. So doctoral students, practicum has to have at least 1 clinical component to. Who's doctoral students? Just 2. Yeah, you need to have at least 1 clinical component, which is 60 direct hours, and the rest could be research, advocacy, all the other categories that are here. For internship, For direct, of the 600 hours, 250 had to be direct hours. That's a chunk of people you're working with. That's around about 8 people a week for internship. Or it could be 8 hours of group. Of that nature. For doctoral students, it's also 600 hours. There's no requirement on the number of direct for internship, but you must have one piece of clinical in there. And we can decide what that number will be. Also, for doctoral students, you have to definitely do teaching in your internship. So doctoral students must always have some fraction of clinical work, some fraction of teaching, and the rest can be any of these. So doctoral students are often teaching assistants for your practicum and internship classes. So you might see Nick, who's in the back. Hey, Nick. You might see Dimitri. I don't know. Evelyn. Yeah.
Supervision, is it on the direct or indirect or stands by itself?
Stands by itself.
So at the end, it's not, is it going to be counted? Like,
Well, depends on the state. So are you looking, what state are you looking to get licensed in? So in Maryland, it'll count as like indirective hours, or adjunct is what they actually call it. But it wouldn't be direct. But it does get counted, but not toward your direct hours.
what about towards graduation?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it on the direct?
Supervision? No, it's all by itself.
Oh.
But it counts toward your 600 hours, or your 100 pound. But you've got to at least have 40 direct, and then 250 for internship. And this goes toward the rest of the hours. And in the manual, I have it all laid out. So you can see exactly how many direct, how many supervision, how many leftover, and the balance of what it averages every week. There should be no confusion. We didn't have that before. So we're hearing you all, so it is more clarity. So hopefully that'd be helpful.
Is it okay to ask one?
Yeah.
I just started practicing. There was a question that was asked in class, and we were asked to ask you.
For sure.
Let's a case in point. You're with your supervisor in the office. Let's say, for example, you're doing private practice, and your supervisor has like a day place where she goes to do maybe one-on-one with the clients over there or group. The hours that you travel from the office to that site, where do you put that in?
You just put some music in, and it's just good old quality time for yourself. That's the work-life balance going on right there.
Okay, it's not indirect hours. Okay.
So this activity log, if you don't see it on the activity log, it probably won't count.
Oh.
Yeah, so you won't see travel on activity log. Hope you guys are sharing. Are you sharing? You're not sharing this document. Make sure you guys are sharing the documents. There's 5 of them. You have one.
This one. Yeah, that was both of them.
No, they're all 5 different. There's one of each. You can't keep them. Don't take my handouts. There's 5 of them. I'll email them to you. Don't worry. You'll get them. You're going to e-version. Send us some trees
She
to
said
you.
she's going to.
Pass it back.
Oh!
So on the activity log, it says everything that, what does this mean? It's like 20 options. What does this mean? Like 20 options, like 5 options here. So if you don't see it on here, probably just won't count. But you know, your supervisor is the one signing off on these logs. So maybe they're saying there's something you could be doing in the car. I don't know. That could count. Maybe you're listening to the recording of your client, that session you just had. I don't know. We're gonna trust whatever supervisor. I'm just trying to understand.
My supervisor suggested practicing what I was going to say with the client as I'm traveling to the client's
Working it.
location.
Work it.
I have a question. If like, for instance, I want to have a license, be able to get licensing in Maryland, Virginia, DC, because I live in like in the metropolitan area, and you were saying
out.
that the supervision thing depends on which state you're in.
Yes.
Isn't there there's a reciprocal licensing that you can do?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, so,
And how
so
does that
I'm
work?
licensed in DC and Maryland.
Okay.
So I got licensed in DC first, and then I said, okay, I get licensed in Maryland too. So it's not automatic. I had to pay $1 million. I had to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. I had to show a transcript. I had to get letters of recommendation. And I've been practicing for years. I had to get letters of recommendation. I'm a good counselor and all these things for them to say, okay, yeah, we'll give you the Maryland license. Some states are a little more difficult for that. So for example, some states are going to want to know the credential of the supervisor that you had, or doing your internship. Did you get 240 hours? They require that. Virginia requires 240. You do 250 just to have it covered. Some students don't. at some universities, and they'll graduate and they have to go back and take another internship to get those hours. Virginia does not play around. But Virginia can help you to get a little bit. Virginia requires 4,000 hours to get licensed. DC is 3,500, Maryland is 3,000. So you're getting your 600 here, and if in the doctoral program, maybe you're adding to that as well. You're making some dent in it. But so in Virginia will count the supervision that you get in your program, whereas Maryland, DC won't. So if you do the math, you're going to walk out of here and the master's students with probably maybe 40, 45, 50, 60 supervision hours that you see individual, at class, at the site. And so those 60 hours won't be considered supervision hours for Maryland and DC. Virginia will count them. I mean, that's something, it's small, but it's something. They'll count them if your supervisor is an approved Virginia supervisor. And if you are at a K-Cup university. So you've got the K-Cup under your belt. So
Do you recommend getting licensed when you live in
depends on what you want to do.
neighboring
So like for me,
states?
I live in Maryland.
Yes,
So
so
for
do I.
years, I brought my office in DC. I don't want to run into my clients in Giant. I don't want to see them at Safeway. I hear about this. I saw my client at 7. I don't want to run into my clients. So I've always practiced down here. So it depends on what you want to do. And I
Is
show,
there really a reciprocal licensing exam where you take one exam?
no,
I read
well,
that.
you still got to pay the $1 million to do the paperwork.
Okay.
So like Virginia requires a different exam for licensure than Maryland and DC. But if you're already licensed in Maryland and DC and you apply for reciprocity, they won't make you take the exam again. At least that's the case now.
Oh, wow.
But if you're not licensed and you change your mind, you have to go, and you already took the NCE, you got to go and take Virginia's exam. So yeah, you need to do some research, go check out all the boards, print out the application so you know what you're looking at. That can help you when you're shopping around for internship practicum sites. Yes.
So, supervision hours. Would you consider supervision hour when you're talking about case conceptualization with your supervisor?
Yes.
Okay.
What credentials are you looking for the supervisor?
Have to be licensed. So the manual says
Licensed
licensed.
psychologist,
I don't like psychologists. I don't like social workers. Who do we like?
LC.
Counselors. We want LC. I'll say it. I don't like you, social worker. I'm not being facetious, but we want to. This is our identity. We want to own it, and we want to show that we can do more. So we tolerate social workers and psychologists. They can supervise you. So can psychiatrists and marriage and family. But ideally, it'd be great to have LPC, licensed counselor. Yeah. Sharia's working to be a psychologist, so I like her while she's working on it. It's done. Cutting Sharia off.
If you plan on being licensed in Maryland, for instance, can you only do your internship and practicum in Maryland?
No.
Or you can still do them in any state?
Yes, but keep in mind, Maryland has some requirements that you need 3,000 hours in Maryland, of which 1,500 have to be direct work with people. But we're talking 250. Maryland says 1,500.
Oh.
Of those hours, half of the hours, the supervisor must be a Maryland supervised credential. So if you move to North Carolina, that's fine, but make sure you figure how they can become a Maryland supervisor, or you need to do half your hours with somebody in Maryland. Virginia's the same way. DC is not, but they're probably coming up soon. They're coming soon. So the supervisor credential can go a long way in helping you kind of get ahead faster in the licensure track. So I'm glad you're thinking about it. Pastor, what were you
Yeah.
You got it? Okay. All right, let's see what else. Well, so it just turned off on us, huh? We're talking too much? Okay, there's ours.
Dr. Ruby,
Yeah.
sorry. So if your supervisor is not a licensed supervisor, your hours with that supervisor is not going to count towards it.
No. So for Argosy,
Yes.
we want you to be licensed, but right now all I can mandate is Argosy. They just have to be licensed. And it's in the manual. LPC, marriage and family, social work, psychologist. Those are licensed. If you're thinking ahead, so that's all you need for this program. I'm just trying to tease you a little bit. If you're thinking about licensure, you might be smart to get a supervisor that has that state supervisor credential that they require, so they can help you postmasters perhaps. Okay. The activity log. Right now it's called term record of hours. This is the new name for it. Like the name? It's nice to meet you. I can't even say term record of hours. Activity log. I don't want a hard copy. Your instructor may want a hard copy, but we don't want a hard copy. We want everything electronic. You will email it to this email address at the end of every semester. The whole thing as one file. Don't send this activity log with each page being its own file.
Mm.
No. We have to learn to scan into one PDF, okay? Just one. And it must be signed by that licensed supervisor, okay? Yes.
So we're gonna get like a PDF or something of this that we could possibly,
An activity log?
yeah.
I'm gonna send you as a Word document, because I want you to be able to manipulate it. Hopefully, it's past when you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's set up, you can set up if you want it by day or week, but it'll be Word, so that you can change it. Okay so far? Excited still?
Wait, so
Yay, training!
it has to be in a PDF though, right?
What does? When you turn it in?
When you turn
Yes,
it in.
because you'll have to be signed. The library has scanners. Most FedEx, Kinko's have scanners. We're coming good with technology. Even a lot of these cheap printers have some kind of scan function, but they can be slow, like glasses.
So could you like fill it out, then print it, then have it signed, and scan it, and then turn it in?
Yeah. Electronically though. We want it e-version. Don't come saying, here you are, Dr. No, and you will not take them either. We want all electronic, okay? We're not gonna we're moving away from paper files, all gonna be electronic. That's good for us. And it falls in line with HIPAA. With HIPAA, you know what HIPAA is? You will, yeah? Okay, yes.
So you just want the total sheet, not
I
a
want the
weekly,
whole thing.
right?
I want the whole thing.
You want weekly?
When you see it coming around, it has all the details on it, and the last page, you're holding it?
Yes.
She's on, the last page is a total sheet. So I want all the details, all the things you did. I want to know all you did. I want to see all of it. Your instructor will want to see all of it too.
Right, but I mean just the total from the semester, right? You don't want our weekly,
Yep,
like.
I want the weekly thing, I want the whole thing, and then you'll have the total also. Okay, this is the total, so I can see grand total. This is good for auditing purposes, it's good for you. If you ever need access to this, we will have it for you. Many students call and say, can you verify that I did, my hours? We want to be able to have accurate count, or in case you ever get audited for licensure, we want to show you really did do 250 direct hours. Because right now, all we have is your totals. That's not good auditing. We want to support you in case you need to verify the hours that you did. So that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, the entire law. Just a screenshot. I mentioned to you about the evaluation. At the end of every semester, we will email your supervisor and say, do this evaluation for your student. That will serve as your evaluation. We'll share with your instructor. If you have a cool supervisor, they'll do it with you. Let's sit down together and do this evaluation. Maybe they don't want to do that. They're on staff. They may want to complete it and then tell you what they had. Either way, it'll be uniquely tied to that supervisor's email address. So again, make sure that there's no mistake about that email address. Okay? No more paper versions for evaluation. This is in effect for spring already. Okay. Does that excite you or just me? I don't know. I'm easily pleased, I guess. All right. Let's make sure we just touch on communication. I know you already know this, to be nice to your supervisor, professional, respectful. How about your faculty members? Yes, do you know this?
Yes.
I hear stories sometimes that so-and-so was yelling at their supervisor. What? Who did I say early on was the first person in your line of communication? So that's your site supervisor. That needs to be a good person for you. Be nice to me too, okay? So I want to remind you that throughout your internship field experience, this could be your next job. You never know who you're going to meet. You need to maintain a sense of professionalism, respect, be confident, know your program. When they ask you something, yeah, 100 hours. I need 40-hour direct hours. Or, yeah, I need to do this piece here. I'm supposed to see about eight hours a week of direct services. Know it. Spit it out. Show confidence that you understand what you're doing. Because you're going to have to market yourself, too. Do you think you're going to start seeing 8 clients right off the bat in internship? But you're going to need to. If you do the math, you need to see 8 clients over 30 weeks. That's 250, give or take. Your first week of internship, are they going to give you 8 hours of clients? Are they going to give you 8 hours of clients your first week? They are not. Second week?
No.
Doctoral students even.
Good with your supervisor, they might.
You're going to have to market yourself and push yourself a little bit, and you're going to have to catch up. So, doctoral student, you have to catch up a little bit on these hours. So you got to learn how to be able to articulate what your needs are. And you can blame me and say, this doctor lady is crazy, but she is telling me I need to get these hours in. I don't care what you do. I want you to get that clinical exposure. You should be talking to who's your faculty advisor? Who's faculty advisor is Patty Long? No, she is not. It's not. Your first person in this department is your faculty advisor. So if your last name starts with an A or B, you're me. You are some lucky folks. If it's C, D, and E, you should get an email from them every so often. That's your person you should go to and say, Riggio is crazy, but I learned a lot from this session. Not Patty. Patty said, can you help me figure out how to drop this class, add this class? She's very good about it. It's just being offered, perfect for that. If you want to know, should I take this class with this class? One of us. And what's this professor like? One of us. We should be the ones you should be coming to. Or should I drop this class? I can't make the exam, or I'm having this issue. So you need to be nice to the people here. Good communication. If you find yourself getting worked up, I don't know why, and you feel the need to vent and be a little bit aggressive or overt, what should you do? We're human. Who should get that venting? I don't know, your dog, your spouse. Don't do it up here. Take a breath, go process why you're worked up, do some self-counseling, and then come back. You're going to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. You're coming up here acting crazy, okay? Right? What would you want your clients to do? Parallel process. If my client was upset, would I want them to go off and go crazy? No, it's probably why they're coming to see you anyways. I say all this because I hear stories. I don't want to hear any more stories. I started here in August. I said, I'm not having any more stories under my watch. Okay? Effective communication go a long way. In fact, if you apply for doctoral programs later or a job, you may want a recommendation from one of your faculty members, supervisors, somebody in the hall. You coming in? No. You have food? So yeah, I'm telling you all these kind of things here. Yeah, so if you're having an issue about your site, again, go to your site first. Don't go to your advisor. Do you know who Dr. Carmen Gill is? Who is she? Man, if you go to see Dr. Gill, you must have a hot problem. There is no reason you should be emailing Dr. Gill unless she's your advisor, or you cannot get anything else met. She should be your last resort. You should not be running up to the chair of the program. Got it? This is effective. I'm teaching. When you're on your nice, comfortable job, you don't just go running to the top. Military folks, you go run to the XO immediately. Do you run to the commander? No, you don't do that, right? Unless you're the one to. You are the XO commander. Interview. Dress to impress. I've seen some folks be ill-prepared for interviews and think that they're entitled to be at the field experience site. No, they have to select you, you want to select them, you should go to impress. I recommend tonight, tomorrow, maybe Sunday, pull out your resume, check that resume out. Do you know part of your tuition includes free career counseling, advising as well? You can go to the Career Center or the Writing Center and they will review your resume for you for free. Cover letter for free, make them work, they're getting paid. They're doing nothing, they're sitting there doing nothing. Have them review your documents before you email them out, for sure. Role play. I mean, we can't assume that we all know how to interview, right? Does everyone had a successful interview every time? No, we want to come very prepared. To practice, I'm not trying to be too facetious here. Practice with others how to interview for an experience. Hello. Check out the site, just like a job. Before you go there, check out, see what they've got going on. Understand them, know them, impress them. It's just like a job. Do your research on the site. When you want to reach out to them, you may decide to call, email. I wouldn't show up. I don't know if you want to mail. Do people mail anymore? Do stamps exist? I don't know. I don't know how much they cost. It's like $1 now, probably. I would be a little bit forward. And say, I'm interested in your site. I understand you work with adolescents. That's an area of interest to me. I took these classes. You want a proof side of Argosy list. My resume is attached. It would be great if I could set an interview with you in the next couple weeks. Will the first place you interview hire you for internship? They might not. So I would apply to 2 or 3 sites, for sure. So you may want to have 4 or 5 different types of cover letters. So like I have like 12 types of resumes. One that's kind of education based, one's like private practice based, one research based. So for your cover letter, you might have a little variation. Let the site know you took the time to understand that you're applying to them, not just say to whom it may concern. Graduate school now. No. Find out who this letter should be going to, who the email should be going to, okay? All right, and be nice in your interview. Don't chew gum. Don't bring your children to the interview. This has happened. You cannot bring your children to the interview. Should not chew gum. Should not wear shorts. Unless you already know that's a culture of the site. What else should you not do at an interview? I'm not making this up. Come on.
Yeah.
You shouldn't insult the supervisor or say anything
No
derogatory.
hitting. Watch your language. What did you say?
I said silence your phone, don't answer it.
Yes.
Don't even bring it in.
Don't even, I mean, why people do this? Can I call you back? Why do you even answer the phone? Why do you even answer the phone? So I like that. Maybe don't even bring it in or silence it or vibrate it.
The vibrator, though, that'll.
That could still go
they'll
off,
hear
right?
it.
Try to kick your bag and then you break your phone and that's another story.
I just have a question about the site list, just because of a previous experience I had. Are there contact names?
Yes, we're doing better. That's the thing.
Okay.
When I came in August, I saw that we weren't being very, the list was not very rich like that. You just kind of had sites. So we've been working on that, trying to have a signed name and number. The reason that hasn't been the case is because there's always turnover. And we tell you, okay, ask for Mary Jane. Like, Mary Jane left 6 months ago. Then you feel kind of awkward. But it's just our attempt to put someone on there. At least we can try. And so we try to keep it updated, but things change. They don't update it. They don't keep us updated. So, but we're working on that too. Yeah. We want to get to the point, right, where we actually have description of the site, website of the site, so just so you feel more informed doing your own research. So. Okay, something sticking? Maybe? Something you remember? Okay, can't say this one enough. Pretend it's a potential employer. What? So you guys are all comrades, right? But at this stage, you're also kind of competitors. Yeah. Why would someone pick one of you over somebody else? And it's not just Argosy. You got other schools around here applying for the same positions, the same sites. What's going to make you different? You got to really think about what do you have to offer that's different. Do you speak another language? Do you have a specialty? Do you have experience? Do you have a knowledge about this? Do you have maturity? Do you have energy? Figure out how to market yourself so that you can tell them why you'll be value added to that site. Okay? If you want to be really, really comprehensive, you got some people that you've already worked with in the past. When you email your resume and cover letter, attach some letters of reference, recommendations. Whoa! This person got 3 letters. Why not? Come prepared with some questions. What might be a good question to ask the practicum or internship at an interview afterwards, or during? Yeah.
Have you had previous interns here?
Yes. How was that experience? From Argosy? Sure. What else could you ask? You asked nothing?
What counseling methodology do you subscribe to?
Yeah, is there a culture of a certain type of approach here? Make sure you want to be there too. You're interviewing them as well. You can be arrogant like that. Don't you? You think you can be that competitive? Sure. I think it's a great idea. Find out more about that site. Afterwards, do you know this? Do you know to do this for any kind of interview? That's a lie. Do you do it? No. But you should. Even if they don't hire you, leave a note. That same after the next day, thank you for this time. Professionalism. Dimitri, I know you don't do it, but you're working on it.
One of the things you all might want to consider seriously, if you have a website or a Facebook page that you're Dr. Delicious or Miss, Sis, whatever, you might want to take that down before you get involved in this, because some of these folks will actually Google you, and if you come up, sin on Friday night or something like that, then they're gonna use that against you, quite frankly.
It happened to Dimitri.
Yeah, stripping, I had to stop. You really want to look into that
Cut
and make
the
sure
recording.
that your social media.
That's a very good point. And you might want to think about making sure to use your Argosy email as a point of contact. not delicious at Yahoo. I'm just rephrasing what Demetri said. Okay, ethics. You accept a position. You want them, they want you, beautiful. But then, a week later, the site that you really wanted says now that they want you. So then you go back and dump that site. Totally unethical. Don't accept that site unless you're absolutely sure. Looks bad on you, looks bad on Argosy. And this is not good for our profession as counselor. We should not do that. So when you accept it, be willing to accept it and know that you might be missing out on the first site that you want that's taking too long to respond. Okay? Or you can hold out. That's going to be your call. You got to watch your timeline though. All right? Maybe you decide you want to do 2 sites. That's just fine. Doctoral students are going to definitely have more than 1 site. Yes, the application of nucleic acid, you can have more than 1 site for sure. Just got to enter the data into the online application. Okay. So, you came here today. I see a couple of repeat faces, which is great. You don't have to come here anymore. But why would you not want to? Isn't this entertaining? You get to meet people. You get to meet some faculty. I have no food. They give me no budget. But there are always some little changes, and you're going to be responsible for the changes. So I recommend, we only offer them 3 times a year. What? You can't give me 3 Fridays in a year? Yeah. So like the doctoral, you have some major changes coming for the fall. For Nick, for sure, Demetri may already be finished by then. So you don't even know. You're like, yeah, it sounds good to me. Yeah, and I recommend that you come for future ones. I told about some training. We're trying to implement some training for you all, so you can kind of stay fresh in current events. So things like dissertation students and brown bag, different topics, professional development, like how to do an interview, how to do resume, ethics, some various topics we have. We're trying to do some training for your supervisors. So my supervisors need a little bit of training. Some supervisors have been around the field for like 20, 30 years, so you might know more than them. So we want to try to get them up to par a little bit. You know about the CPCE, right? Looking forward to that. This is master students. You know what the CPCE is? Do you know you got to take a test to get out of here? Doc students, you also have a comp exam, but yours is all written out. You know about that. So CPCE, you're good? You might just take it? So we offer that about 4 times a year. That's a major test, 4-hour test. Do you know this? Wait, do we know this?
Yeah, we know it.
And then we have our meeting together 3 times a year, and then we're looking to have annually, this would be pretty cool if we can get this to happen. Once a year, invite representatives from the site to come here, give them a little training, have us set up a table, and you guys can come meet them here. Kind of feel them out, perhaps, on an even playing field here at Argosy. So probably the only way we can have that happen is if we offer them some chicken or chips or cheese or something. We're going to try for that. We're trying to keep things going and keep everybody fresh. So this is what we're thinking about doing. We kind of missed the boat on January because of the snow, but like these are some of the training we're thinking about having. You know, plagiarism, PowerPoints, prior practice, how to start prior practice, licensure, things that you can do for research. How can you get more involved in ACA or state level leadership counseling associations? So next steps after tonight, you can go do happy hour, whatever you're going to do. You will then make sure you sign in on that computer out there. We will email you the manual, this presentation. We'll give you this of approved sites. We'll give you PDFs of the training plan, which includes application and agreement, so that you can have it as an FYI. You need to start immediately doing your homework and start deciding who you want to approach, get ready, and then ask for interviews. Make sure your deadline. So for fall, what's the deadline for the first part? June 1st. You got less than 6 months. Can you do it? Don't miss the deadline. Because I am ugly. Who's worked with me? I am serious. June 1st. You must make it happen. Then you meet the deadline. Then you start September. You start in September. Unless they change it by a couple of days. Then you enjoy it. You have a great time. Whether you're a doc student, master, practical internship. Then when you're done, do an evaluation of the site. I want to know if they're good or not. And then they're going to evaluate you. You're going to turn in that activity log. How do I want it turned in?
Electronic.
Good. Better than November. And then come again. Attend another one of these things. Okay? Not too bad. Right? Worth your time?
Absolutely.
These are the links. Again, this will be emailed to you with a PowerPoint. This is a link for you to do your application. That's due June 1st. This is the link that you would go to submit your agreement, which will be August 1st. We will send your supervisor a link for your evaluation. This is a link you will complete of your site which you enter the semester. All online. Don't discover some lost application from last year and try to turn that in. I didn't know. Okay, that's it. So thoughts, questions? If you want I'll be here. Yes.
In terms of the different required classes for the program, is it recommended that research and program evaluation, appraisal, and assessment are taken after the internship?
It's all in the manual. Let me email it to you and you look and see where you are on that scale classes.
Okay.
I personally recommend that you try to take your field experience after most of your classes. Why do I recommend that?
Stress.
Apply it.
Apply it. You can have all your knowledge, and now you can apply it. I feel like if you still have a chunk of classes, I mean, you can. If you have a chunk of classes still left to do, you might be like, yeah, you're not going to understand. You're going to be at a disadvantage, I think. I think also sites may like you if they know you have taken couples or marriage, all these other kind of classes already. So, but your choice will be yours. Yeah. Other questions? It's an easy crowd tonight.
Run out of info.
Yes.
Just if you know, how many times do they take the NCE conference?
I think they do it twice. October, April. And they have a pretty significant time application deadline like we do for training. So like we offered it in April. I think I don't oversee that part of this program. Dr. Hutchinson does. You can email and ask her. So you're thinking ahead. You're not required to do the NCE with us. What's the required test called? CPCE. But the CPCE is very similar to the NCE. A very similar test. So if you're already studying and you think you're going to do it on the CPCE, go ahead and pay the $1 million and take the NCE with us while it's fresh in your head, especially if you're looking at licensure down the road. Go ahead and take it with us. If you don't, that's just fine. You can take it when you apply for licensure with the board, just a little bit farther down the timeline. Correct? Just, yeah. What else? Yeah.
I know that this orientation is for fall. But if it's seeming like it might go further into a year from now,
Yeah.
spring 2015, are there things that you would or would not start doing now? I mean, is it okay to check on sites or?
Go for it. Yeah, the application's not up yet, but you could definitely go for it.
Okay, so that would be what you would not do is the actual application. But
Yeah.
getting your resume together, checking in sites,
Yeah.
all things that you can do.
I would love that. And we're open to new sites too. Maybe you know of a site that's not on our list. We're open to perhaps, that could be another way to use some time, if you have a place you think could be a good fit. Yeah.
It's the
I was having some difficulties with the training agreement. It wasn't going through. Like, it got to the
The one
point-
that's due in August?
The one that's due in April.
So are you in something right now?
Yeah,
So what are you doing right now in spring?
I'm doing my practical.
So you're in the old school, because I didn't want to change it too far out. So you'll use whatever was in place, what's been in place. So the agreement for people who are doing spring right now is whatever form was in place before. So I think you do with your instructor.
Okay.
Does that go for February 1st too?
Um,
They're due February 1st.
That's for summer. She said something for spring.
So the online.
Yes.
Oh, no, I was talking about the one for summer.
Okay. So you were on the,
I was on the online one.
because you were here in November. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're applying for summer.
And I was going through, and it got to the point where it said to submit your hours, and then it said for doctor students only, and then no matter what I submitted, it wouldn't do it.
Okay. Let me check that out. Can you send me an email? Maybe there's some glitch there.
Yeah,
For
I have a
summer.
screen cap of it too.
I appreciate that, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
I'm currently in my internship 1 right now, so I'm in that transition phase 2. Is there any way that I can see, make sure that I've done everything I need to do? Because last semester was when I started to get the electronic stuff, but I had paper forms for my practicum, so
Sure. So what are you in right now for spring?
right now I'm in internship 1.
So you use whatever's been in place for eternity at RUC. The only thing different is the log and how the evaluation will be.
Okay, because I got an email saying that I needed to use, they were asking me to break down my hours from practicum last semester.
That's your instructor maybe, that's not gonna be us.
Not from my instructor, from the department, from the law. And I was like, I don't know, I already turned it,
Just
okay.
email me one-on-one, I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't touch anything for spring because we don't wanna throw you off too much and have a fast change.
Okay.
That's why it's been gradual with things moving into summer and then for fall. That's it. If you think of something later, let me know. Email me, Riggio, what was the email? M. Riggio. It's a long day.